Hello, everyone. Welcome to my show, Number 9 Talk, with my guest so far, Stephen from Geordie Talk. Are you all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Good result at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely a good result. Much better performance as well. Callum Wilson back
Yeah.
in the goals as well.
Oh, it was a much better performance in my eyes. I mean, I said on your show, I'm not one for delving into statistics or delving into um, the ins and outs of the whole game. But what I did like, it was easy on the eye as well.
Yeah. I mean, it was a game between Hodgson and Bruce, and they aren't exactly the managerial powerhouses, are they? It's a
No,
battle
no, no.
against wits at times. Bruceosaurus against Hodgesaurus.
I like that. Yeah. Even all the Mrs. Number Nine talk evening.
Evening.
Um, what I wanted to go through was the result on Friday and the ins and outs of the game and how well we played. I mean, we are waiting for two other people turning up tonight, Sav and Pete. I've not heard anything from them. Be a couple of minutes, I've been told. So, just to go through the Wilson goal, Joe Linton as well, and both assisting each other. I saw that as a positive. I think they did work well together, and they did complement as well. And I think Wilson might be bringing out the best in what Joe Linton could be. What would be your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you're right there, Dom. I mean, it showed signs of it could be a great partnership blossoming. 'Cause the first in the first half, Joe Linton crossed for Wilson. He was just unlucky not to get it, and yeah, I mean for the Wilson goal, it was brilliant. It combined well. Wilson combined well with Joe Linton for Joe Linton's goal, and it was spot on in
You right, Sav?
12.
Hi, sorry, I've just got to go and turn my dryer off because I can't hear properly. I'm on my iPad. I'll be 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And 4-4-2. It's
Yeah, it seemed to work. Yeah.
yeah, much better.
Uh, Another one. Let's bring this in while we're waiting. It was a shock when I know someone called it the snatch and grab. Do you think it sums up the game? No, I don't think so. I don't think that the smash and grab really summed up the game. I think there was positivity in the way we were playing in the 4-4-2. I mean, when I looked at the lineup, it's before the game started. I thought it was going to be like a 4-2-3-1, the way it seemed to me. But we played the 4-4-2, and I think Wilson and Joe Linton actually did work okay together. I think that could be something that could be looked on in the future. Sav, welcome to the show. We're just on about the game on Friday. How I found that Joe Linton and Wilson actually seemed to build up an understanding together towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think so. I think actually it's helped Joe Linton a lot being with sort of a proven goal scorer as he's been up front, because I don't know where Joe Linton's natural position lies really, because everywhere we seem to have tried him. I mean, I think we definitely know now you can't isolate him up at the front. But yeah, I think it did. I don't think you can judge it on one game, but there definitely was something that was working towards the end, more so than the beginning, between them. And yeah, I think it's something that's obviously worth continuing as long as everyone hasn't got coronavirus, which seems to be what's being going around today. But yeah, yeah, I think it did work well towards the end. I just hope it continues and it wasn't just one of those fluke matches, because I think up until that point, when they banged those couple of goals in, we'd played all right. I think bringing on Matt Ritchie changed us, really. I think that because he's got that leadership, it helps, because he does, shout at everyone, tell everyone what to do. And I think that did change the game and how we were playing up until that point.
Yeah, it's a point that is worth making. Everyone's saying as Joe Linton turned a corner. I mean, I said, yeah, he's turned Scotch corner, the way I see it. But it is what it is, and we can't judge it just on that game. But I will say I saw it as being a positive, the way they did work together. Stephen, what was your take on the game on Friday?
Well, like I said, I enjoyed the game. I mean, I thought he played very well, Newcastle. I mean, excuse me. I was shouting at Joe Linton when he's scuffing shots and he's not putting enough power into his shots. I said, Joe bloody Linton. Said, put a bit more power into it, but you could tell his link-up play was better. Said, like Sav said, they don't know his natural position, but you think a new partnership could be starting to blossom with Callum Wilson, where he worked for both the goals. I say it was something new to try.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, I was looking at. I mean, my wife's given me a whole pen and paper and to look over stats and that. I mean, I'm not much of an idiot, but put it on perspective. I mean, Callum Wilson, 7 goals, 2 assists, with 3 penalties. It's a good start for Mr. Wilson, and as Kendall pointed out earlier, what a bargain for 20 million, and it is a bargain, Sav.
Yeah, he's been a complete bargain for us. I was a little bit apprehensive when we started buying from, Bournemouth, who'd just been relegated. But I think he's settled in really well with us. And if he can strike up a partnership with, say, Joe Linton, I'm not saying that he will, because I'm not convinced, but that would be brilliant, and if he helps improve Joe Linton's confidence, all the better, to be honest. I think he's settled quickly. He's settled well. He had that injury where he missed one match, which was unfortunate. But obviously he came back on Friday and banged another goal in and got another assist. So, the more the better. I long hope it continues.
Yeah. You all right, Pete? Welcome to the show.
Evening. Sorry I'm late. Had to do some work to prep this week, so my bad.
Yeah, you're right, mate. We're just on about what looks to be a burgeoning link up between Wilson and Joe Linton. What would be your take on that one?
I'm intrigued. I'm not going to say it's set in stone or it's definitely going to happen. But can you hear me? Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you,
as
mate,
I said, I don't think it's set in stone or it's definitely gonna work, but it's something I'm intrigued about. What better 4 or 5 games to see if it's going to work out or not in the 4 or 5 games that we've got coming up. So if it's going to work, we're going to see it happen in the next few weeks. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I touched on the Wilson stats: 7 goals, 2 assists, 3 penalties, all put away. So, I think it was 1 yellow card I think he's had as well. So, yeah, it's well worth the money for £20 million. I mean, there's not many strikers out there you can get with that stat so far on 20 million.
No, it's 20 million for a player of Callum Wilson's ability. Is it, like you say, as we all agree, an absolute bargain for what he's done. 7 goals in 9 games or something.
Yeah.
He's always there. I mean, you wait till Fraser comes back from injury, and them two start clicking. Will because they always had a great partnership with Bournemouth. But Fraser on the wing, Wilson up top. They like know each other telepathically. They know what to do. That was the same for the Everton match. He, Wilson knew straight away to get to the back post. Is Wilson could have got Fraser was bound to get the ball to cross the ball so he could score. So I'm just waiting for Fraser to come back. I'm excited to see what them two could do.
Yeah. We touch on the Fraser thing. Why has he not been given a bit more of a front line thing? Because he's been kind of left out the group. Everyone said, he's had this injury and that injury, but he played well for Scotland after Bruce had said, he's got his niggles. Sav?
Yeah, I find that a little bit unfortunate as well, because I think when he has played for us, he's actually played really well. I know he's had his injury, and obviously he hadn't played for a while when he first came to us. Do you know what though? I have the same issue on FIFA. He sent me a message asking why I weren't playing him. I just didn't know where to put him, to be honest. So I've had to keep on benching him. He's not very happy with me, so maybe I'm a bit like Steve Bruce. I'm not sure, but no, I think it's unfortunate. I'd love to see more of him, because I actually think that pair up between him and Wilson, which obviously dates back, their experience at playing together. I'd love to see more of that. So I'm hoping that when he comes back for his injury, maybe, Steve Bruce wanting to prove us all wrong because we've all been saying it, will actually start playing him a bit more.
Yeah. Well, it's a problem though, because maybe he does have a headache up there, and maybe he does have, a selection problem. But if you look, you could play Richie and Wilson and Fraser up there. They're all well known to each other, so you could play to their strengths. But is Richie over the hill now? Is he not getting a bit slower as things go on, Stephen?
No, we all know what Richie can bring to Newcastle. I mean, granted, he's not going to probably get much of a start these days in the team, with Jamal Lewis playing in his position really, and with Almiron playing on the playing as well. He's going to be restricted to sub appearances, but when you really need him, he'll be there. Like Sav said, with his barking orders to you, like to get into your position, stay in your position, mark this player, mark that player. He's always there. I mean, after Wilson's goal, he took Van Aanholt's head off with that rebound he put in the net. I mean, we always love Matt Ritchie. I mean, he's just that mad Scottish gate to me.
Yeah, I mean, you look at he's done well, and he's been a very good servant. I see Richie as being the leader of the team. He's always, shouting, screaming. But you look at, you've got Lascelles as captain, and you've also got, which is obvious, Shelvey as vice captain. Would you say is the undisputed captain of the team, Saf?
For me, and it's really biased for me, I would definitely say it'd be Matt Ritchie. I think he's the one that you notice when he comes on. There is a leadership there, and he's not afraid to say how he's feeling. And I think, Lascelles used to be really good, and he did deserve captaincy, but lately he's just fallen completely off the boil for me, and I don't think we missed him on Friday. I think, yeah, definitely. And, I do have a little Matt Ritchie fan club going, but for me, it is Matt Ritchie.
Yeah. Pete?
It's hard to argue Matt Ritchie as a potential captain. I'm surprised he's not been given the armband sooner, if I'm honest. For me, I like the thought of Martin Dubravka being captain. Goalkeepers are not traditionally the captains, but I think he leads by example on the pitch. And you've also got Fede Fernandez as well, who I think is a leader on the pitch and could wear the armband. I know there was the issue against Chelsea where he refused to sort of wear it, but yeah, for me, one of those three, I'd be more than happy to wear the armband. I just don't think that Shelvey, plays his best football with the armband. I don't think he handles the pressure as well. I just don't think he performs when he's captain. To be honest, I don't think he's captain material, in my opinion. But the other three that I mentioned are. So, but like I say, it's hard to look past Richie's being the first choice captain. Obviously, instead of Lascelles.
Sorry, I'm taking a drink. Yeah, it's what would I lost my train of thought. What would you say was our undisputed was our man of the match yesterday? There has been a few. You've got the fella in Darlow in goal. You've got many of the others, and I think they did put in an extra shift the other day. But there is things to be said and things to be improved on. But we could be seeing the makings of a team that could work together. Stephen.
Yeah, you're right there. I mean, like I said, I thought my man of the match was between, like you said, Darlow, Fernandez, even Joe Linton for the effort he's put in. Joe Linton's had a bit of improvement towards the back end of last season. He improved. He was like playing out on the wing, which is like where he's kind of used to playing. But then he kept persistent playing up front, which is he's not his natural position. You're saying that against Chelsea. I mean, for the first 30 seconds, he looked like did okay, but for the rest of the match, he was pretty much a passenger like everybody else, and too reliant on San Maximan to try and get us up the pitch a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Sav?
Yeah, do you know what? I think, because I know that on Twitter there was a vote, wasn't there, and Joelinton won it. And I think, for me, I think he needs little bits like that for his confidence. I think his confidence has been absolutely trounced. And for me, even taking away the confidence thing, Fernandez did that block he did was amazing, and he put in a real shift. But I would say Joelinton slightly edged it just on the fact that normally we don't see that sort of performance out of him, and he did stand out. And I do wish that people wouldn't give him the crap that he gets over on Instagram, because I think that's a real shame. And I think, do you know what? No wonder he has come out and he's lacked confidence. Like as you said earlier, like he doesn't hit the ball hard enough, or he'll rocket it over the bar. I think and he did a little bit of that on Friday, but he did get that goal. Maybe give or take, it was a little bit of a sloppy, lucky goal, but. For me, with his improvement, it would have been Joelinton.
Yeah. Pete?
Obviously, everyone's jumping on the Joelinton, and rightly so. A goal and assist would normally get anybody sort of a man of the match. But I'm going to stick to my guns and say Callum Wilson. I just love the guy. I think he's fantastic. He's what we've lacked. Since Demba Ba, since Remy, just a natural goal scorer. I just love to watch him play, and I just think for him grafting and working and running for 90 minutes off the ball, wanting that one chance to win us the game. He finally got it, and he was the match winner. For me, he for all of the for all the work that he does over the course of the game, and he gets the winner for us. For me, that's man of the match. It doesn't take away what Joelinton did on the pitch. It doesn't take away the fantastic saves that Darlow made. But yeah, I just love Callum Wilson. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, just to touch on the Joelinton thing before we move on. what I saw was a goal that everyone says, it was lucky, and it was. It wasn't hit with any power, wasn't hit with any guile, it wasn't hit with anything. But they're the goals that any striker would take day in, day out. A striker would take day in, day out. And maybe that's what he needs, just the odd fluke here and there. And maybe he'll start to think, I want more of this. I want more of the adulation of scoring a goal. That's the way I think, anyway. Just to move on from there, possibly. On another point, we look at Dubravka. How do you solve a problem like the goalkeeping position? But then, is it Darlow or is it Dubravka? Darlow's not done a bad job so far. And does Dubravka need to earn his place back, or does he need to be brought straight back in? It's a big question, Stephen. Bring it on.
Yeah, it is a big question, but I don't think Dubravka should walk straight back in the team. I mean, as much as I love Dubravka, he's like I know he's our number one and all that, yeah. But since he's been out with that injury, and Darlow's come in and he's really stepped up. He's kept us in games, much like Dubravka's done in past seasons. He's always been there with a save. He always comes and punches. Sometimes he doesn't get it, but you always say he always tries. I think he deserves his new contract the way he's been playing recently.
Yeah.
New 5-year deal. I thought when he got offered that, I said, "What's he been offered that for?" I said, "I would have thought maybe 1 or 2, because I thought he'd have been out of the club. No, we're not able to get in front of Dubravka, with being obviously the number one, but he's taken his chance. I mean, against Crystal Palace, he pulled off a few good saves. So I think he shouldn't come straight back to the team, Dubravka. I think he's going to have to earn it, because the way Darlow's playing at the moment, he's going to find it very hard.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Stephen. What I think is it creates, the competition, and that's what you need in a team. You always want competition between any position in the team. Sav, your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with Stephen. I think Darlow's actually surprised me. When Dubravka got injured, I was like, oh, we're in so much trouble here. But actually, Darlow's come in and he's really proved himself for me. And I think it would be really unfair when Dubravka is fit again if you go, oh, right, Darlow, right, back on the bench. I don't think that would be right, considering what he's done. And, yeah, I think that definitely, Dubravka's got to come back and he's got to prove himself to earn his place back in this, starting team for me. I think it's a bit of a bonus one. I think it would be unfair to just put him straight back in.
Yeah. Pete?
Look, I'll be honest. When I saw Darlow get given a new contract and it went over that Sky Sports News ticker, I was genuinely pissed off. I was thinking, why the hell are we giving this guy a new contract? I've been calling for him for months and even years for him to be sold. And I was even more annoyed when Dubravka got injured. But look, I'm all for players proving me wrong and proving fans wrong when they're on their backs. And he's certainly done that in abundance. But yeah, look. If you're gonna give me a straight up choice between Dubravka and Darlow, I choose Dubravka every time. In my opinion, he's just a better goalkeeper. However, as you've said, Dom, it's all about competition, and this squad of players, now more than we've ever had in the last 10 years, have got competition all over the pitch. So quite rightly, it's Darlow's place to lose now. Even when Dubravka's fit. And it was the one thing that I was worried about going into the season is how long Dubravka was going to be out for. But, let's face it, we've not missed him. It's not even been a talking point, has it really? It's been a talking point of how great he's been, not a case of counting down the hours and the minutes of when Dubravka returns. So, look, it's his place to win now. It's his place to keep. And Dubravka has got to push him in training, and Darlow's got to keep putting those performances in every week So fair play to him. Yeah, I've been impressed. And you look, and let's face it, if you look at the England goalkeepers that have been chosen for the last couple of internationals, he's right up there. He's right up with all of them in terms of stats and performances. So who's to say that come March he's not going to be pushing them?
Yeah, exactly. Just Laser Magpie. What do you think of the reports that Bruce was going to drop ASM before he got his injury? It was a talking point. He was left off the manifesto, apparently, according to other sources, for the playing there. What would be your take there, Stephen?
Well, I'm just hoping it isn't all true, because we've been crying out for a player like Sam Maximan. You see what he can do. He just mesmerises defenders. His runs, that we just love him. But I hope it's not true. All this stuff he's fell out with Bruce and stuff like that. If he's got a genuine injury, then fair enough. He'll be out. But I think the media have jumped on it and made the meal out of it in a way, with what Craig Hope said, that he's had a bust up with Bruce. I mean, where's his sources? I mean, I know he's a journalist and all that, but sometimes he can be wrong. He was wrong on the takeover, even if he said, "Oh, it was looking like it was going to get done," and here we are. It still never got done. So I take what he said with a pinch of salt. I don't think he fell out with Bruce. I do think he's got an injury, a hamstring injury, like he says, or calf injury or whatever. But I somehow just don't believe it. He would have fell out like somehow. That's all.
Yeah. Sav?
Do you know what? I'm all one for a drama. And when I first heard about this, I was like, oh my God, there's been a fight and it's all going to kick off and it's getting all very exciting. I shouldn't be excited about things like that, but I was just all on it. But then yesterday, I noticed St. Max was on Twitter and he put up a comment supporting Joe Linton and was interacting with the fans. And I think if he's had a big bust up with Steve Bruce to the point that he won't even, play a match, he wouldn't be on there doing that on, a couple of days later. And I just think it's all just rumours. There was a rumour before, weren't there, that him and Steve Bruce had a fallout and there was nothing to it. So I'm not convinced by it anymore. I've got over the drama bit. I don't think there's any drama to be had. I think he's picked up a little injury in training and hopefully he'll be back soon, because especially of all these coronavirus reports, we need all the players, in that we can fit, that we can get.
Yeah. Pete?
I think that I think there's probably there's likely to be something in it. Will we see, or will it come to fruition in terms of what that is? Probably not. I think the win on Friday's going to mask that over massively. So I don't think we'll really know the truth of that. And with all the coronavirus stuff coming out of the club now, that seems to be the hot news, and not the fact that the players have had a fallout with the manager. So I think those two things will sweep that under the rug quite quickly and quite swiftly. So, like I said, I don't think we'll see anything of that develop. However, if you look at certain players like Almiron that was out of the pecking order, and then all the stuff with his agent, if you look at the situation with Manquillo, which really, a lot of people didn't think or mention, but the fact that he was in the team 1 minute and then just out the team for weeks after that, he wasn't injured. There was no bad form, in my opinion. He was just out and he went missing, and you think, well, what's gone on there? It just came out of nothing, and then you hear about St. Maximin, you hear about the thing with Fernandez not taking the armband. You think, was there something there? However, with the, just to add on to what Sav said about the St. Maximin thing about social media, he hasn't been on for a while. He hasn't been really as active as he was previously. But what I got from what he did supporting Joe Linton and the team on Friday was his realization that maybe the team may well be doing well without him, and that might be his way of getting back in. And the way you can get back in is obviously playing nice with the manager. The manager's got some currency now. He's got some currency with the fact that he's got 3 points on the board without him playing. So that will be his argument if there was a bus stop to say, we can do this without you. So that may be his way in terms of trying to grovel back to the manager to say, I'm still here and I'm still supporting the team. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops. But knowing Bruce, regardless of whether ISM is fit next Friday or not, he tends to keep with the same team if we've won a game. So the likelihood is he'll probably start with that team again, unless the couple of the players that are out from a COVID point of view are any of them that started on Friday.
Yeah. Come to the issue from Katie. Thanks for joining us. Main issue now is having 6 with COVID. I think, is it 5 or 6? It's supposed to be so many players and one staff. Unfortunately, we've not been told who these players and staff is. But it is an issue, I suppose, but it's an issue for many other teams. Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, with all this COVID going on, it's hitting every team hard. I mean, I thought Newcastle did very well to contain it once this season started. You didn't hear very much about it, but I reckon it was one of Steve Bruce's assistants had come in to do the training with COVID symptoms, and he didn't self-isolate. That's why he's probably passed it on to a few of the players. Yeah. I mean, if he knew if he had COVID, you know what the general symptoms of COVID are: cough, temperature, loss of taste and smell. I mean, if he was suffering for anything like that, you should have just stayed at home, like they say, until you get a test, and not spread it. So I think he could have put the squad in jeopardy by going into work when he shouldn't have really done.
Yeah. Sav?
Yeah, I think, it's unfortunate. It is going to hit a lot of clubs, and I think it's sort of, made its way. We did well, to be fair, I think, to get this far without having a COVID issue. But I think, it depends who it is. Obviously, they haven't said, but it will create a problem. From what I was reading today, I think it's like 40. If we've got 14 of our players that haven't got it, then you've got to play anyway. I mean, maybe in a way, if we have got a real issue there, it might give the younger ones a chance to show what they can do, because obviously, we don't always do that a lot. And I think that is a big way that we sort of miss out on people. But yeah, I think it's a shame. I'd just be interested to know exactly who it is or how many, because it came out as 6 and then they changed it to 5. But was that players? Was that the players and the one staff? I don't know. It's all a bit, they just don't put out enough information.
Well, what Sky Sports has said, it was 6, but then they changed it to 5, and I think it was 4 players and one staff. Okay. Pete?
Yeah, so there was. I think there's one. There's one other. I think person that's tested positive. We don't know whether that's a staff or a player. Sounds horrible, but I pray it's a staff member. Just because we don't want any more players missing for Friday. Because look, Villa's form hasn't been great, and it's a winnable game. We want as many players back fit and firing as possible. We need all the players we can get at the moment. So, look, it is an issue. It's an issue that we expected. We've actually, as a club, been really, really good and managed our players really well from a COVID perspective. Even going all the way back to March. I remember on Sky Sports, we were the first club to ban handshakes and greetings. So, and all the other Premier League clubs followed that. So we're really, really good with managing that. So hopefully we can keep it nailed down to that small group, and that's it. So yeah, it is an issue, but we'll just have to see that what pans out. But look, I want to know the answer to the burning question right now. Is Dom, what is the interview for? I'm looking at that line. I'm looking at that shirt. The question was out not long ago. What is the interview for and when is it? And how you feeling? Are you nervous?
No, I put my CV in for the Newcastle job, so I'm feeling quite confident.
I tell you what, look, you're already in with a chance because you're already dressed a hell of a lot better than Steve Bruce.
I'll take that every day of the week, Pete. Cheers. You just boosted my ego, full stop.
Good stuff.
Look at all the Crystal Palace result. What would you give your out of 10 for the full performance, Stephen?
For the full performance by the full team, I'd say a 7. I mean, it can be improved upon. I mean, they did play well, but it was against Crystal Palace, and they play the same type of football as what Newcastle have. They don't press, we don't press. That's what I would give it, a 7 out of 10. It can be improved, but
yeah,
yeah.
Sav?
I'd say a 6, only because I think, with the players that we've got, there's scope for so much or more improvement than what we're currently playing. And sometimes watching us can get really frustrating. And there was moments in that match, even though we played better as a whole, there was moments in that match when it was a bit like, oh, for God's sake, just bloody... We pressed for the ball more. That's one thing that I did notice, which we haven't done in the last couple of matches previous. But, yeah, I think given the players that we've got, there is scope for a mass improvement, and we could play better probably under a different manager, never under Steve Bruce. But, I think, a 6 overall. I think it was a pretty well matched sort of with Crystal Palace. I think we just sort of tweaked it at the end, to be fair.
Yeah. Pete?
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go left field. I'm going to go 10. I'm going to put it down as a 10. Right? And I'm going to tell you why. Absolute shithousery of the highest order, that we played the way we played, and we smashed 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes, and we gave them no opportunity to reply, and we just said thank you for the points. We were shit, but we still beat you. See you later. And we just got out of there. And you know what? We can be annoyed all we want with the performance and how we played, and it wasn't attacking enough and all the rest of it, but look, at the end of the day, we got 3 points on the board at a place that we're not really great at, that we don't really play well at. And we just went in there, just held our own for 87 minutes, nicked a couple of goals, and then just walked out of there with the points in the bag. So, you know what, 10, absolute shithousery. And sometimes it can't go any better than that.
Yeah. So the next few fixtures, which I've got in front of me right here, thanks to my wife. Villa, next away game. We've got an easy winnable set of fixtures, but it's something we should be hitting some points just to keep us maybe in 10th place. Villa, West Brom, Leeds and Fulham. Should be a good set of results. Villa, what's everyone's thoughts on our next game? Villa, Stephen?
Well, where Villa started this season, they started like a train. I mean, when you beat Liverpool 7-2, I mean, that was a shock. And I think they won about 3-4 off the trot, and they're doing quite well here. But then Brighton go and beat them. Then didn't he have a bad few games, a couple of defeats off the trot. Then he back to usual Aston Villa again, inconsistent. I mean, last season when we played Villa, we were awful. We didn't even look like scoring. When we got beat 2-0 there, we didn't even look like scoring that match. So we've had results there in the past at Villa Park. So I would say I think we will get something there. My head would say a point, but my heart would always say 3 points. Callum Wilson always to score. They always have Callum Wilson down to score. So
yeah,
somewhere or another. Sav?
Yeah, I've actually been dreading Villa, to be fair, because they have played really well. They're a different side from what they were last season. And I have this horrible feeling that they're just going to run at us. And we're going to do one of them things where we forget what we're doing and we lose possession. And then we just decide to sit back. I'm not sure we're going to win it. I think we might get beaten by them. I think just because you saw what they did against Liverpool. And I think, if they can do that against Liverpool, what can they do against us? Unless we sit like 10 at the back and just defend for the whole match is probably what we're going to do. But yeah, and Dom, can I just say, I hope you're buying your wife a bunch of flowers for all the help she's put in tonight. She's been brilliant doing your notes.
Right. She's also cooked tea as well tonight.
Oh, say you're a lucky man.
Always
Definitely.
Pete?
You know what? I agree with Sav. I think it's going to be a difficult game. And actually, how Sav described how she feels the game's going to go is exactly how it went last season when we went there. And I was one of those travelling fans that were in the stadium watching that shower shit that night on the Monday Night Football because it was horrendous. And we did exactly that. We sat off. We literally looked devoid of any ideas of what we were going to do. And they actually played at 50% and still beat us comfortably. And that's my worry. Again, Villa Park's a ground that we don't travel well to. And I just don't know. The only thing that gives me a little bit of hope is the same thing that happened going into the Palace game, in that Villa play tomorrow. So they play Monday night and then they play us Friday. So they've got less rest time. They've got an opportunity of still picking up a few injuries in the game that they play tomorrow. And that can only go in our favour in terms of they've got their recoveries less, and that we've had, a good 3 days extra recovery time on the back of that. So that's what gives me sort of a little slither of hope. But for me, I just think that, Villa's going to be our toughest out of the next three. If I'm right in thinking it's Villa, West Brom, then Leeds. Is that right? The next 3 games? Yeah. I personally, I think Villa's going to be the toughest out of the 3. I don't care what team West Brom put out against us, we should be winning that, in my opinion. And then the Leeds, although everyone's, singing their praises and jumping up and down about Leeds, for their intensity and the way they play, they're playing 3 games in a short period of time. They're going to be shattered by the time they play. So that might give us an advantage there. But going back to the Villa game, the fact that they've got a shorter turnaround gives me hope. But it would be typical Newcastle to put the win that they did against Palace together and then completely capitulate against Villa and get spanked 2 or 3-0. Would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. We are on to the EFL with Brentford. The return of Ivan Toney. Is it a game that's set up for him to give us the blushes, or could we win it? It's just going to be a difficult one, I think. Stephen?
Yeah, it's always going to be difficult. These another ex-Newcastle players who come back to haunt Newcastle. I mean, I was frightened of that Ben Rama if he was going to be still at Brentford, because he's a hell of a player. But going into the match, look at the way we played against Newport. We're really lucky against Newport in the last round to win it on penalties. I mean, we should have been out of sight really against Newport. No offense to them, but we should have done it. Yeah. But this is going to be a really tough game against Brentford.
I think exactly the same. If you look at how we played against Newport, that's a side that we should just be going in and clearing up and leaving. Do you know what I mean? And we just made it completely hard for ourselves. For some reason, we just like to do that. I think it depends who he puts in the side. Depends how he sets it up. I'm not convinced we'll get it. I think we might go down to penalties. But then I think that might just be the negativity of being a Newcastle fan, to be fair. You just prepare yourself for the worst and then you don't get as angry about it. But, hopefully, I mean, I know this is going to sound awful, but in a way, I kind of don't. Well, if we didn't get through, it would be another thing like that. Steve Bruce couldn't brag about, because we've been so lucky with that cup, with the draws that we've had. It's just typical Steve Bruce luck that we've drawn some really, not great teams. And if we get through, we'll go out in the next round, I dare say. But I don't know. It just depends how we turn up that day, and if Steve Bruce fancies, making us actually attack.
Yeah. Pete?
Look, I expect us to win. It's as simple as that. We're going up against a championship team. We're away from home. Fair enough. We'll talk about Ivan Toney. Look, he didn't make it for us. He wasn't good enough for us. He needed to go away and play in order to get better. It wasn't a bad move that we sold him. It's exactly what happened with Armstrong. So look, I've got no worries. We've got capable defenders that should keep him quiet. So I'm confident that we should go in and win. Why not play our strongest team? It's the first chance of us getting to a semi-final of a cup for a long time. That should be motivation for any of those players. If I'm the likes of Wilson, and I'm the likes of, whether it's Fernandez or Lascelles or Darlow, whoever it is, I'd be knocking on the manager's door and saying, I want to play in that game. I want to be one of those 11 that's going to take us to a semi-final. And as the manager, with all the stick that he's getting at the moment, he wants to be saying that he's got us to a semi-final on his CV. He's going to want that. So for his sake, he should be playing a strong team. And, in the years gone by, even with Rafa, when we got to the semi-finals in the championship, the quarterfinals in the championship, and we went out to Hull on penalties, we didn't play our strongest team. And I think Pardew did it a few years before that, where we got to a quarterfinals away at Tottenham and played a weaker side. Why? We want to be fighting for a cup. We want to be getting to a semi-final. For all we know, there might be a slip up in a lesser team that gets to the semis, and we get them in the draw. We don't know. So why not do our bit first by getting that result and winning? Brentford aren't pulling up massive amounts of trees. They're doing all right, but for me, we should be putting them to the sword. So yeah, I don't see anything other than a win, and if it's anything other than a win, then it's not good enough.
Yeah. Just one here from John from Fan Fuse when it comes up. What it says is, that's the thing with us, Toon. That's the thing with Newcastle. We could beat Barca one week and get stuff for Fleetwood the next. It all depends on the team that turns up on any given game. That's what makes it so tragic. I think that shows it all in one actual message there. And well done to you there, Sean. Bring up another one from Sean. What did you make of Bruce's masterclass last weekend? Yeah, that's a good point. As Steve Bruce got his stave execution off the back of Crystal Palace's win, or is it just Bruce out? I mean, I think we're all saying Bruce out, but let's not take it away. He has done pretty well for the club, in his eyes, maybe, and in other media's eyes as well. What would be your take on Steve Bruce, Stephen?
I mean, I've never been a fan of Steve Bruce ever since he went for him, and never ever wanted him as manager after having Rafa for 3 years. Out of the frying pan into the fire with him. I'm still not totally convinced with him, even though he's done okay. I wouldn't say he's done well. He's done okay this season and went last season as well. He just didn't fill me with confidence. His tactics. I mean, in the game against Manchester United, Darlow was clearly injured, and he's gone. It was 1-1 at that time. We could have got a point out of that if he just took Darlow off, because he really struggling with an injury. Gillespie was ready to come on, and he did nothing. He just persevered with Darlow. Man, that's what annoyed me more than most. I mean, he gets called a clown for his tactics, where I think you're right, because I'll never ever be a fan of him. I'll put up with him. That's as far as it'll go with me. I don't like him. Simple as.
Yeah. Just to bring that question up there, the desirable cup run, which everyone's touched on tonight, is the desirable cup run is lifeline to keep them in the job. Sav?
I hope not. No offense. It's really good. But as I said, we've had some really lucky draws. I think I think all of them actually have been really lucky in comparison to what others have had. Last season I was a little bit in the closet. I did like him, but I didn't want to say that because I knew everyone would jump on me. But I did like him, and then I thought, he's had a season now. Now you've got to really start judging him on what we're watching. And I've sat and watched him, and Gary Lineker jumped on the bandwagon today about Newcastle fans. What do they want? Because they're not in a bad position on the table, and they've got and if he actually, I don't know. Has he actually sat and watched us play? Because I think if you've studied the style of play that Steve Bruce plays, it's actually, it's awful sometimes. Well, what gets me with Steve Bruce is he'll play this awful run of matches and then everyone will start jumping on his back and then he'll have a whinge up at the fans and he'll go out there and we'll actually play better. I think that's sort of what was happening on Friday as another one of those, because then his son jumped on Twitter and was like, oh, that'll shut all the haters up now. It just riles people up more. I dread for Steve Bruce when, fans are allowed back in the stadium, because if it carries on, he's going to have a serious issue on his hands with people yelling abuse at him. But no, I hope that cup run isn't what keeps him in. I think Mike Ashley is reluctant to get rid of him at the moment. I think they get on quite well by all accounts, but maybe, with the takeover bubbling away in the background, it's not a bad thing that he stays there for now and that we don't have this, shake-up where another manager comes in short-term. We need to just keep focusing on things, but I don't like him.
Yep. Pete?
Just to touch on what Stephen said about Bruce, he is a clown. Let's not get it twisted up. Bruce is an absolute clown, and the only masterclass he's ever put together is the HP brown sauce on his bacon sandwiches. That's the only masterclass he's put together. Other than that, he's an absolute clown. They're the facts there. Look, he must wake up thinking it's his birthday every day, being manager of Newcastle United, because he'd have been retired by now. It'd have already been sacked by Sheffield Wednesday. It'd have been sitting on retirement, watching his cricket somewhere in Australia. Okay, he knows he's rolling the dice, and he's very, very lucky to be where he is right now. So he's going to claw and scratch and do whatever he needs to do to stay manager of Newcastle United, because he will never get another Premier League job in his managerial career. He knows it. The Newcastle fans know it. Even his mates in the pundits world know it. And that's why they're backing him so much. And his son knows it more than anybody, which is why he's very, very quick to message on Twitter and be active on social media when we get a result. And then when he puts out that pile of crap the other day against Chelsea, that's why he goes missing. You don't see him for a week. So look, it's all sort of structured to go a certain way based on the results that come about. Now, look, fair enough. He put Joe Linton and Wilson together, and it seems to have worked. But that wasn't any sort of plan. His tactics change week in, week out, because he just puts things together and hopes that it works. There's no systematic sort of masterclass there. There's no thought behind it. It's just, right, this hasn't worked. Let's try this. Oh, that worked for a week. Let's try again. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. Let's try this week. And it's just 1 week to another. It's just put together, and it's the same as a Joe Linton shot from 20 yards out. Okay, it's a hit and hope. That's what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, so him as a manager, he is not long term what we need at the club going forward. And we've got the players. We've got the players in the squad to really take this club forward. And I'm not saying Europe, I'm not saying Champions League, but I'm saying certainly at the top half of the table. But we haven't got the manager right now. Is he going to get sacked? No. That win on Friday was massive for him. in keeping him in the job and calming some of that pressure for the next week or two. And Mike Ashley probably won't sack him because he's looking at the table. And fortunately for Mike Ashley and Bruce, Sheffield United keep losing. West Brom, they won against Sheffield United, but they're not picking up many points. Fulham are not picking up any points. Burnley are still losing games. So it's all falling into his hands.
Yeah, completely agree there. Looking forward to the January transfer window. We've seen a few players mentioned on certain sites and in the media. We could look at Jethro Williams and the fact he could be ready for another loan, the loan to buy on a really low fee as well. Stephen?
Yeah, well, I'm sure other Newcastle fans would love Jethro Williams back at Newcastle because he was the player we all wanted. I mean, he was just one of my favourites as well. I mean, for the times he was he never quite. He went there as Wijnaldum's friend to see matches, and he loved it. I mean, through his Twitter tweets, he's posting watching Newcastle matches and different stuff like that. I mean, if he's available for the right price, I've heard like on a free transfer. I mean, hell, it's got to be he's got to be snapped up at least because you know what a shot he can do. I mean, against Man City, that shot from outside the box against Liverpool as well, where he turned Alexander Arnold and rifled into the top corner. I mean, it can't be bad for whatever you can get him for. And it's a yes from me.
Yep. Sav?
Yeah, I'd take him in a heartbeat. You know, ever since he's left, he's just been sort of saying, you know, I'm here for the taking. He wants to come back, you know, and I think that it's finding a player that actually wants to play for your team that is, you know, is crucial. So, but on that point, I did see another rumour about Bentaleb and the fact that he might be coming back, and I'm hoping that that's not true because that would be awful. I'd take Williams all day over him.
Sorry, Pete?
Sav, you're just giving me nightmares. Oh, Jesus Christ. I'd literally just finally got him out of my mind, the fact that he actually played for us. And you just put it out there. And you just,
Bento, no thanks.
Yes, exactly. Oh, my God. Yeah, look, I'm glad, Dom, I'm glad someone's looking forward to the January transfer window because I'm certainly not. I don't see any permanent signings coming in. That's not Mike Ashley's style. There's a reason why we kept the loans free and we didn't use the loans in the summer window. And that's purely because that's what he's planning to do. He spent his money. He spent his 35 million in the summer window. He's going to use those loans to add to the team wherever he needs to. But saying that, the Zetro Williams deal is the one position where we actually need to strengthen. So, you know, we need two players in that position, and Lewis, to kick him on, needs an experienced head to teach him that role as a young player. He's only 21. Zetro Williams is a Dutch international. He's played at the top level. He's won titles in Holland, so he's got the experience to help him through, if anything. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I think Sav mentioned that there is a deal to be done there, a cheap deal. I still think Mike Ashley, even if it was like a 1 million deal, he'd still try and get him on a loan with a view to buy anyway, because that's just his way of dealing with stuff. So I'd love Zetro Williams back. So I thought he was a fantastic player. For me, Dummett's finished. He's finished at the club. I don't see him as a long-term player. The guy just keeps getting injured. It's getting close to a year now since he actually got injured, and he's not played for us since. So we do need another left back. Other than that, wherever else we sign it, it's pure potluck. I have no idea where we're going to strengthen. Maybe a centre back. Who knows?
Yeah, we've already looked at or heard rumours. It's only going to be loans. I don't know whether there'll be loans to buy at the end of the season. Possibly, we'll never know. The way things go with Ashley. just to finish off tonight, I'm going to go on to the takeover word. I'm going to go on to a percentage of your willingness that this could go through. I mean, we've seen the news reports of the NCSL and NSCL, whatever you want to call them, and also the Nick DeMarco on Ashley's side. We can see it all being a positive towards the Premier League, but anything else we can say is just going to be pie in the sky. Stephen, what would be your take, and what would be your thoughts on your percentage of this will go through?
Well, I would say my percentage of it to go through would be maybe 60%, 60-40 kind of thing in favour of it going through, because there's so much stuff going on for it not to go through now. I mean, with all this stuff that happened in the summer, with different organisations voicing their concerns about it, how it should be allowed to be in sports, Qatar, Jamal Khashoggi's widow, Tish Chengiz, putting her 2 pennies in any which way she could. The Newcastle United deserve this takeover, and for it to be being met with such disdain from other people, it quite frankly makes us sick. I mean, the money it would bring, oh yes, not on players, like not to spend 200 million on Mbappe, for instance, but for the regeneration it would do for the city. I mean, it's a lovely city, Newcastle. I mean, to have that sort of money with Amanda Staveley and the Saudis and the Reuben brothers who have business interests in Newcastle, and you know what to do to regenerate the place. I mean, it can only be seen as a good thing. I mean, I'm sure that we all share the same sentiment on that.
Yeah. Sav?
Yeah, I'm about, I don't know, I'm probably about 60 as well. I've tried not to think too much about it because it got me really stressed out. And then when the news report came out that it was all off and, you know, Piff had walked away, it put me in a real bad mood. So now I've just sort of let it, yeah, a bit like that. Is that what you put the tie on for? Yeah, I just think that I've just let it count. I think it is still bubbling away in the background, and you know, Mike Ashley wants his money. You know, he's trying to buy, is it Topshop or someone now? You know, he's going to want his money, so he doesn't want the club anymore. He's made that abundantly clear. He wants as much money as he can possibly get for it, and I think eventually something's got to give. I don't think the Premier League can carry on, you know, defending their position with all that's going on. That's how I feel, but I do think it will be a lengthy process. I mean, I heard that they were putting together, you know, plans for the takeover for the January transfer window if the takeover had been approved, but I'm not convinced it would be that fast. I think it's going to be a long process, and I just hope that we stay afloat during it, really.
Yeah. Pete?
I find it baffling about. I think Stephen mentioned about Khashoggi's fiance coming out and bringing a statement out. Saudi Arabia have been investing in so much recently, including the F1 that they've now heavily invested in with Aramco and various other things. There's no mention of anything against F1 and the Saudis investing in there. As soon as it comes up by Liam Kennedy with regards to there's been movement in the takeover, a statement comes out the next day straight away, and you just start to think, like, is someone paying her? Someone is clearly paying her a handsome wage to just put out these random statements that are probably not even written by her, that are just probably be signed by her at the end, just to put out there, just to throw shade on the takeover and PIF and all the rest of it. It just makes me laugh when I see stuff like that. It's just so, like, they're so against Newcastle having this takeover that they're doing whatever they possibly can to throw shade on it, to give it a negative look. You've got Sky that don't even report on it. So all the stuff that was coming out against the Premier League and the fact that they'd come out and they'd shot themselves in the foot, there was no mention by Sky Sports whatsoever, apart from a little thing on the ticker that went away after a couple of hours. And it just makes you laugh. It's all manufactured to go a certain way and to look a certain way. It's just laughable. However, am I confident the takeover is going to go through? 100%. I'm 100% confident this takeover is going through. However, is it going to be something that's done in the short term? And when I say the short term, in the next 2, 3, 4 months? No, I don't. And the reason being is I just think the Premier League are going to string this out for as long as they possibly can. I honestly believe, got no evidence to support this, I honestly believe that the Premier League know at some point they're going to have to wave the white flag. But I honestly think that they're doing whatever they possibly can to string it out and to go through all the legal formalities for as long as they possibly can, in the hope that PIF do what they did last time and withdraw and completely move away. I think that's what they're doing. And the quicker and the harder that we push with Mike Ashley, with the supporters consortium, the harder we push to get answers, the quicker it will happen. And I think they'll string it out for as long as possible. And I think they'll be without us knowing, they'll be heavily backed by BN Sport and their legal representatives. I think they'll be heavily backed by the top six and their legal representatives, and they'll be getting support right now. The Premier League, don't let's not get that twisted either. They'll be getting massive support, just like the PIF and Mike Ashley and the consortium, supporters consortium, we're all getting support here. The Premier League will be getting that heavy support too. And that's why there's a tug of war going on at the moment, and that's why I don't think it'll be a short process. It'll be a long process that will go on into the new year. It wouldn't even surprise me whether it gets rubber stamped towards the end of the season. I think that's how long. It could be a full year. We could get back to that April. I remember those months ago, that April where we got the Company's House notification and everyone went into pandemonium. I think we'll get to that point next year, and it still won't even be rubber stamped by then. So that's just my belief on it. I just think it'll be a long, drawn-out process. But at the point that arbitration gets signed off and to say, yes, this is what we're doing, I think the Premier League will then wave the white flag to say, yeah, okay, like rubber stamp it, because they won't want those cobwebs. They won't want their wardrobes being open and all those cobwebs come flying out with all their dirty secrets. They're not going to want that. So as soon as it gets to that point, they'll sign it off. When that is, who knows?
Yep. Completely agree. Just I'm going to bring this up. Please like, subscribe. I don't get paid for doing this. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy having my guests on as usual, just to chew the fat and talk everything Newcastle. So thanks very much, anyone who's watched tonight, and please like and subscribe as normal. Thank you guys for being my guests tonight, and I will bid you good night and sweet dreams.
Good night.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
Hello. Thanks for being on tonight with my guests. Thanks for the comments and your likes and subscribes. Just to put out there, I do have, as I've shown throughout the day, you can buy my mug on my website. It's 9talk.co.uk. Go on to there and you can find the link to my my shop to buy my mugs and my merchandise. And I will be giving some proceeds to the Newcastle Food Bank off the sales of my merchandise. So if anyone would like to purchase my merchandise, there will be shirts, there will be masks, there will be snoods, and any others that you would like to have on, or any comments that other merchandise you want, please give a like, subscribe, and Good night. Your Rajies.